Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. Now, the more eagle-eyed viewers amongst you will have noticed that unfortunately, I am not joined by my good friend and co-host Dan Morgan today. He's been very lucky to miss this game, although partially. He's in New York. He did catch the first half with some New York villains. And the guys out there, I've no doubt you're listening, Dan. So yeah, you're lucky for missing this game. It was an absolute travesty. So unfortunately, guys, it's a solo effort from me, Dan Wiseman. Today, I'll be taking you through the absolute nightmare that was Villa's 5:30 kickoff against Spurs that ended 4-0. We're going to gloss over it quite quickly. It's not going to be a deeper dive as usual, as I'm on my own. You guys couldn't possibly ask that much of me. But before we get into it, here's a quick word from our video sponsor.
Dan, have you ever wanted an app that collates all the scores and news from your favourite teams in the whole of Europe, Dan? Have you ever wanted that?
It's a constant need of mine, mate, because there's always news. That's the thing, is that we love this game. We love the industry of football because it's ever-changing, mate, and you need a place to keep up with it all.
And we have that place exactly for you
sure
guys.
Do,
it's One Football. Guys, this app is genuinely, it's life-changing.
It's great because I actually I use it. So it's great because it's where I pull the stats from for the podcast. So it's like there's all that new stuff as well, but you can track all of the players' stats from like across Europe for all the different leagues, for continental football as well. It's a dream. It's a dream. And the best part, mate, is it's free.
It's free, and guys, it would help support the channel massively if you check that One Football using the link in the description down below. We promise you guys won't be disappointed.
So that's it, guys. One Football is a great place to get all of your news, all of your statistics, everything footy is what we use for here on the podcast. It's where we get all of our stats from, keeps us really well informed. We can't recommend it enough. So hit that link in the description, get it downloaded. You'd be helping out us more than you know. Now, let's get into it. I've been absolutely dreading this one, to be honest with you, but it's one that didn't really come as much of a surprise, did it? It felt like, when I saw that Spurs lineup, it was one of the first in a long time that I went, wow, that's a really good team. They've come such a long way. I spoke to Dan in the preview about consistency being a problem in the Premier League generally this season. It's been really interesting to see how only really Manchester City and Liverpool have been able to keep up consistent results across the course of this 38-game season. Now, I know obviously that's because they're the best team, so naturally they win most of their games. But everyone after that has been really quite difficult to gauge at any given point in a season, especially those teams fighting for the European spots. And I don't just mean the Champions League, I mean the Europa League, and now, of course, the European Conference League. And it began to feel like Spurs were beginning to enter that conversation in the last few weeks. Since Antonio Conte came in, they were really a win-loss kind of side, and they operated on that basis for some time. And it must have been quite perplexing, I think, for many Tottenham fans to see their side sort of play out games like that. But recently, they've really shifted into another gear. This is obviously 9 goals now that they've scored in a week, 5 against Newcastle and then 4 against us. They scored 3 the week before that against West Ham. And they've been on a pretty good run of form, barring a loss away at Old Trafford on the 12th of March. So they came to Villa, and I knew everything that they were going to be about. And to be honest with you, I was prepared to say when they went 2-0 up that it was just a case of one of those classic Premier League matches where you have a side used to winning, play against a lesser side. The lesser side dominates, has loads of chances. They don't score. Then the better side runs up the other end, takes their own chances, and they win the game. That, for me, signaled the difference between Villa and these teams, which we're trying to emulate. Now, I think with every game that goes by, it becomes apparent that it's not going to be maybe next season or even the season after that we begin competing at that level. It's a little while off. And I think that's where we need to have a little bit of sympathy with Steven Gerrard, because he came into Rangers in 2018 and he didn't win the league with Rangers until 2021. I mean, I have some good friends that are Rangers fans. One of them has been on the podcast, long-time listeners from back when we first appointed Stephen. Will remember Scott, who came on. I remember having several conversations with him, like, Stevie's not bringing home that silverware. How long do you give it? It had been it was 2.5 years. They went without winning the league. They went without winning domestic cups before he finally got 55 last season. If Villa wanted a manager that could offer a quick fix and that would take what Dean had built when he left the club in October, November, and could quickly turn Villa around and get us into a place where we could compete for European competition this season, we would not have appointed Steven Gerrard because he doesn't have that track record. What he does have a track record of doing is coming into a side who are competing at an average level. And by, Rangers' average positions is different to what Villa were at the time, but Rangers weren't the best team in Scotland. They weren't even the second best team in Scotland at points. And he turned them into a title-winning side. He showed that over a course of consistent backing and faith, he can turn a side around. And that's what I think he's trying to do with Aston Villa. That's why I think that, I don't think you can judge Steven Gerrard right now. And look, I'm a very big fan of Stevie's. I'm a bigger fan than most Villa fans, I think, have come to be. And I'll back him more than most, yes. But I still don't think any manager can be judged in the season where he's picked up the reins. I know we're talking about Tottenham and we've seen how well Conte has done it, but that's an elite coach playing with some elite players, really. You look at the squad that they've got. We're poles apart right now. It's not comparable. So I know it can be done. But what I'm saying is that Gerrard isn't the man that we would have chosen to do that. And so I think we have to look longer term with Steven Gerrard. I think we have to look to next season. We have to see what he does this summer with this transfer window, which I think, let's be honest, we're pinning a lot of hopes on because it's the last thing which we can hold on to in a way. We've had all these things throughout the years. It's like, we just got to get to here. Wait until we do this. Wait until we do that. In January, it was like, wait until we get this 6 and everything like that. This summer transfer window is one of Villa's most important in a long time, because if we don't get it right, I genuinely don't know what it holds for Villa, because you look at today's performance and the crazy thing is that the first half was one of the better performances we've seen from a Steven Gerrard Villa side since he arrived. We were fantastic. How we didn't go in winning, let alone drawing, is beyond me. We had 19 shots today, 8 on target, 9 corners, 52% possession. The stats are all there. The only number that is missing, the only metric which we failed to produce, was a goal. And I think it's telling that we missed so many chances. To see what Danny Ings has become in this Villa side is really concerning. It's really concerning because not only is he now missing chances which we've seen him score in a Southampton shirt and a Burnley shirt and a Liverpool shirt, he's now missing chances that we've seen him score in a Villa shirt. You think back to the first half, and this really resonated with me. You think back to the first half when Coutinho dropped that ball over the wall from a free kick, a really well thought out free kick. Clearly something McPhee had worked on the training ground, dropped it over the wall. Ings runs in behind and attempts a bicycle kick, which he got wide and he should have scored. A decent connection on it. Doesn't matter where it goes. It's a goal. He's that close. And I was like, I've seen him score harder bicycle kicks than that at that end of Villa Park this season. It's really worrying to see what has happened to these players. And I like to just think that, well, I don't like to think, but you're forced to in a way that it's a confidence thing. It's they're feeling this system as much as we are. The one thing which I'm holding on to is that I don't feel like it's the players not trying. I don't think it's an effort thing. I don't think that the players don't care. I think that's lazy in football widely, to be honest with you. I don't think there are many examples of players genuinely not caring about a football club or its results. And these guys do, but it's just not working on the pitch right now. I don't think really we're going to see much better before the end of the season, to be honest with you. I think it was harsh that the likes of Buendia didn't play. So I think there will be those kind of changes. I'll be surprised if we don't see Emmy get a good run in until the end of the season. I think Callum Chambers can also now feel pretty hard done by, to be honest with you, because since he's come out of the team, that Villa defence has not looked the same. And he never really put a foot wrong when he was in the side. The only reason he was dropped is because Ezri sort of falls in above him in the natural pecking order. So I think we will see some changes from the Villa. We have to. I don't think Steven Gerrard, despite what I was saying earlier, is totally blameless. I really don't. I think he is starting to pick up a reputation for talking the talk in his in his post and pre-match press conferences, saying, "Oh, there'll be big changes." After Wolves, he said, "These players are playing for their futures. They have to show me that they're ready. In other words, they're ready to be there next season." But we didn't see those wholesale changes, and I know you have to caveat that with, and I would like to stress that I don't think there's a great deal of options available to him. We're all clamoring for changes in that midfield, and it's like, okay, how do you do that? How do you radically shift that midfield around? How do you can't just take out two bodies in there and put two more in, because who are they? It bolsters us for sure having Marvelous Nakamba back. But it's crazy to think that he's going to come back in and just play at the same level he was when he got injured. This guy's been out since December. He's had surgery. He's had a game with the under-23s and he's back on the bench. It's going to be a long time. I would be surprised if we saw it this season before we see Marvelous Nakamba back to his best. I think you have to look forward until August for that. Villa right now, it is just about getting to the end of the season in as best shape as we can. It really is. I don't think that we have much to play for now. We are sliding. We have to cut this run of 4 consecutive defeats to an end. It's not going to be easy. We go to the King Power next in a 3 o'clock before we get a couple of games where you really feel like we should pick up points in Norwich and Burnley, although given this Villa side, nothing can be too certain, can it? So yeah, got the King Power on Saturday. That's a 3 o'clock. I hope that we'll get a preview for that one. I don't actually know when Dan gets back from New York. Hope he's having the best time. We all miss him. Love you, Dan. I know you're listening, mate. Guys, drop some comments down below. Show some love. We need some positivity right now in the Villa community. It's hard to do these podcasts on my own, so I hope that we've got Dan back next time to preview that game against Leicester. But yeah, guys, today it's one to write off for sure. For the record, let it be known, I don't actually think that the 4-0 was as bad as it's made out. I think if you see that game, it's going to seem a lot more man-sided than it was if you look at just the scoreline. Villa dominated for large proportions of that game. There was never really consistent spells that when Spurs were on top. The only difference was that they took their chances that I think we allowed them to create, to be honest with you. A sort of worrying trend that we're seeing with Villa goals at the moment is a balance between things being desperately unlucky and awash with mistakes. You think back to the first goal that we conceded at Molineux and the first goal that we conceded today, and they're one of the same in many ways. Like, there's defensive errors in there, but then there's also huge slices of bad misfortune. Today it was the Kane shot, which hit Matty Cash, rebounds straight to Heung-Min, and of course he bangs it in off the post. So you're sort of inclined to say, well, yes, it's very bad defended. If you look at the Ezri Konsa header, which he should put 20 yards further up the pitch than he does. But you're also kind of like say, well, it's extremely bad luck because that Kane shot is whistling wide. It's going off into the hole 10. It's no problem whatsoever. It hits Matty Cash, and of course it falls to Heung-Min. So Villa are getting a big deal of bad luck at the moment. I would like to say that. But the defensive performance on the whole was really poor today. And you can't expect much in the Premier League if you defend like that. So these are the things which we need to tighten up before that Leicester game. I personally would like to see Callum Chambers back in the side. I think he gave us a solidity which we haven't been able to replicate since he left the side. So I hope that we get a bit more of that. What we do beyond there is beggars. Honestly, I have no idea. Complete beggars belief. It's really difficult to see how we can change that midfield for the better. What do you do up front now? Do you persist with this Ings and Watkins front two? Do you go back to the sort of 4-3-2-1 that didn't really work either? You've got two formations and it's just the best of a bad bunch, to be honest with you. So I'm really not envious of Steven Gerrard. But guys, keep the faith. I ask you, man, you know what we're like here on the Heart of the Hope. Me and Dan are the same. We try and keep things optimistic. I genuinely do believe that at some point it's going to switch. I do believe we're due a great deal of good fortune. I think Gerrard is the man to turn this around. I really do. This summer, he has to be ruthless. I think we're going to lose a lot of players that perhaps we didn't want to in an ideal world, but I think we've got to do it for the betterment of the squad. I'm not going to name names, partially because I don't want to, and secondly, because I don't actually know who they're going to be yet. But I think we are going to see a lot of sales this summer that are going to raise a few eyebrows. But we have to do it for the betterment of the system. We've got too many players that feel like they belong to too many different managers and too many different formations at the moment. And it needs to be more consistent. So May can't come soon enough. August, even more so. And the summer transfer window, I should say, in between is going to be a whole lot of fun. And you know where the best place to stay up to date with Villa transfer rumours is. Yes, it's right here on the Heart of the Hope. Transfer rumour mills, you guys love them. They're all that I've got to live for in terms of Villa content at the moment. The only things that keep me optimistic is all the incredible names that we keep being linked with. And I hope can be the ones to turn this club's fortunes around. So you're going to want to stick around for that. So subscribe wherever you are listening. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button and make sure you download OneFootball using the link in the description to get all of the statistics from all of the Villa boys that are going to tear it up next season. Guys, thank you very much for listening to this, albeit brief edition of the Villa Filler podcast from me. Dan Wiseman will be back, hopefully as a duo for the preview of the Leicester game. If not, I'll run you guys through that solo again. I don't actually know when Dan is back. So Dan, if you're listening, drop it in the comments. Let me know when you're back, mate. But if not, you'll definitely have us back as a duo, hopefully, for the games to come. Guys, thank you very much for listening. And up the Villa.